Yeah, you're right. You keep making this better and better. So uh, let's just take a look at it here digitally. Um, Speed up the whole process, I hope. And I think I can get the general information across because, for the most part, I think you've solved the problem, the major problems of this assignment, which is the flyer has to work as it is unfolded and folded, and you've solved most of those problems. So let's just deal with small little nitpicky things related to type. Um, Number one, overall, I want you to go to all the type on the whole document and turn off hyphenation. We've got hyphenation here and here and here and here and maybe here. I'm not sure. Nope, it looks like it's just on these pages, but turn it off anyway. It looks like you have it here already. Good job. Um, okay, secondly, I'm really glad you're repeating canine confection both times, but I would make sure that, oh, I don't know if it is, but we're almost treating this as the logo. So in that case, I want to have the gap between the top of the letter and the top of the bar the same. This is tighter, and the same here, and this is tighter than that one. And the same leading, this you have a little more leading here, and you have a little less here. And the same weight. It looks like, I'm guessing, this is a bold and this is a regular, so I would go with bold and regular. Now, could you change the colors? Yeah, okay. I'll let you change the colors. Um, you know, Logos do that occasionally based on background, so as long as we keep in a color scheme, which you have, good job. We'll just let that be. Looking over this, I'd probably reduce the size of that gap, reduce the size of this gap, and increase the size of this one. In other words, like us on Facebook, I'd probably put that a little bit closer to this picture. I'm really glad you did include a picture on the background or on the back cover because you know, it's about dogs, but here's the what we're selling. Okay, going on to this. You've done a great job improving the gaps. Excellent. Um, this it feels like it's a little floating. I'd probably push it down to the. Oh, you got an alignment, don't you? All right. Well, okay. Leave it. You've made this left justify. Good job. Um, the change from the O over to this text is a little too much. So I'm glad you got a stepping stone. Good job. But going from, I'm guessing, a bold to a regular seems to be too much. So why don't you make this? Man, maybe I'm contradicting myself here. I'm not sure. Uh, but maybe our biscuits in bold, so you just have like a transition step because it's such a big jump to go from this oversized O in bold down to regular. So maybe our biscuits are all natural in all bold. I don't know. Something like that just to kind of ease us into that. Um, this one, good job with the experiment on the alignment there. It's certainly working for what should be bullet points, I suppose. If you want to switch those out, you can replace the dashes with option 8 on the keyboard, and that'll give you a bullet point if you want. This right here, it just seems a little bit small. Our treats can be found at. So here's an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. What if we put our treats can be found at and then put it above and then have the names and whatever of these locations start to line up underneath that. So our treats can be found. This is kind of the title now, not just for the text, but also for these images. So you're kind of like putting it right there and then bang, bang, bang underneath it. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now for your captions. This caption, first off, seems too close. It's touching the type, so it needs to get scooted down some. And this one probably is the best, although it could go down just a touch as well. The thing that's kind of frustrating about this, and I'm sure it's frustrating for you too, is that there's no real sense of alignment or system for how the text works with the picture, other than it's underneath the picture. So let's make sure that it's underneath at the same gap. The gap above the text and the start of the picture is the same on every single one, and make sure you include enough. And then secondly, let's make a gap on the right side, and this is a little different. We're right justifying. Let's make sure the gap is the same every single time here. And so we'll count this as the edge, and we'll put a gap, and we'll put the gap, and we'll put the gap. Here's a way that I would do it. I would just put like draw a little square, and I'd make it some obnoxious color that doesn't have anything to do with the color scheme. In this case, maybe pink or something. And then I would put it in all three, and I'd use that to align the baseline to the bottom of the little square, so they're all the same. And then I'd use it to create the gap every single time, so they're all the same. Once I have that, I would get rid of the pink squares. I'd just delete them. But then I'd know that I'd have consistency across the board. And then one other thing about this, particularly the word page and they'd love, it seems too tight right there. So let's open this up. And then you're going to have to look through, the last thing, look through for widows. Man, bad timing. So let's see, widows. Okay, we got half a widow. That's even worse than a widow. But, we'll get rid of the hyphenation. So consider, do I need to add a word there? Yeah, you can figure that out. And then got a widow right here. But once we get those worked out, I think you got the main things. You may want to make those two line up perfectly. But yeah, good job. It's looking good. It's come a long way. I really appreciate it. Thanks.